Network is sort of censorship resistant by design. It's decentralized. You can't really force people what software to run, what policy to run, because it's the internet, right? They can do what they want. Well, I think that's the other thing, that there have been waves of spam going back a decade or more, right?
Guys, welcome back to another show. Today I'm here with Adam. Last year we had a chat in the rain, so maybe today I can grab you without the weather interfering. How are you doing today?
Good.
There's been a lot of drama with Core and Knot. Are you worried? Does it worry you?
I think there's unlikely to be any soft fork support without consensus, and it seems that there's very far from being consensus on this kind of change. And it's not because of disagreement. Like, everybody doesn't like spam and would wish it would go away. And if they had a button to press to make the spam stop, they would press it quickly.
Yeah.
But the challenge is that there isn't a clear solution. It's very hard to stop or even slow spam on the internet. And that is intuitive because you see the spam everywhere, in email, in web pop-ups, discussion forums, even in online games, let's say, right? And I think the other thing is people want to stop it, but the programmers, the technical people want to see if there's a change that it will actually achieve something.
Guys, exciting news. December 8th and 9th I will be attending the Bitcoin conference in Abu Dhabi. If you're coming, please stop me, say hello, let's connect in real life. In the box down below, you'll find a 10% voucher. Use it, get your ticket before it's too late. By the way, if you're enjoying my content, it will mean a lot if you could help me by subscribing to the channel and push the like button to support my journey. Thank you.
And I think the other, people who are more emotional about it, maybe less technical, they would like to do something anyway, even if it doesn't work, just to send a message. So that's kind of where things are stuck. And unfortunately, you can risk disrupting normal users, particularly if it, disables opcodes, or freezes some funds, seizes funds. None of these things are what people will want to support, right? And Bitcoin also, the change process in Bitcoin is very cautious and conservative. So they don't like anything that risks user funds, and they don't like rush changes. You don't like changes without a good technical explanation of why it's safe, why it's going to work, why the change will do what it claims to do. Now, I also think it's, Bitcoin has a better defense against spam than other protocols because it has a limited block size, which limits how much data can come every 10 minutes. And it has proof of work for the cost and dynamic fees. So if there's a lot of demand for block space, the fee market increases the cost. And transactions have a big advantage compared to spam because a transaction is a very small amount of data, a few hundred bytes, and the average image size in these NFT spams is 10 kilobytes. So enough for like 40 or 50 transactions, right? And so it's very hard to see that that there would be enough demand for spam to withstand a high fee market, because people can transact large amounts of money in a tiny amount of data, right? So I think that's one thing. The other thing is it's a little bit, it's hard to filter spam in Bitcoin. With email, you have an email server, email client, you can filter it. There's a place to do it from. With Bitcoin, because it's decentralized, there's nowhere obvious to filter. Now, you can, of course, filter your node, or if you have a miner, you can filter it. But that applies, to your node and not to the network, right? And the network is sort of censorship resistant by design. It's decentralized. And so it makes it so that even if 50% of the nodes want to filter traffic, it doesn't really have any impact on what gets through because it all flows through the other connections. The average listening node has 125 connections, and all it takes is a few of them that have a different view on a policy. And I think people also have to bear in mind that, you can't really force people what software to run, what policy to run, because it's the internet, right? They can do what they want. There's nothing you can do to stop them. So for the people that have the intuition that they want to run a policy to not relay sometimes the transactions or spam, that's good, but we don't think it's going to do anything because there are other people that don't agree. And, in terms of the sort of permissionless ethos of the internet, a kind of non-aggression principle, right? I can't stop people running software they want. If you choose to run a policy that says one thing and I choose to run a policy that's slightly different, we both got to admit that that's our right, And so what tends to happen in a peer-to-peer network is that the less restrictive policy is the de facto policy, because that's what makes it through the network, right? The peer-to-peer network is just one way that transactions can get through the network. So they can also do direct submission to miners. They can use transaction accelerators on mining pools, on mempool.space, and block explorers. And so even if the peer-to-peer network could start to create impacts on the spam, if it did, the spammers have other ways to do it. Those other ways are not good for us as node runners, as Bitcoin transactors, because they're centralizing. And centralization is not good for permissionlessness, ultimately.
I love your take. I completely agree. I think it's much harder to control a decentralized permissionless network, right?
Right.
The network itself should take care of it. We also seen back in the days there was a dice game on Bitcoin. Yeah. It's gone away, right?
Well, I think that's the other thing, that there have been waves of spam going back decades or more, right? And generally they are not, the sustainable high value thing is Bitcoin, the asset class, censorship resistant transactions, and the spam tends to lose people money, right? They speculate on something, they buy it, they lose money, the marketers take their money, and then they get disillusioned and go away. So, as the spam, the waves tend to end when everybody loses their money, basically.
Thank you. Always a pleasure seeing you.